Well, my wife uses a paper planner, and I use electronic for a calendar. This is true about just about everything with us. How do you calendar? Use paper, use sticky notes, use a computer? Well, my special guest, Danielle Barger, and I are going to discuss her experience and the benefits of using Google Calendar. Stay tuned.
Well, this is Tech Tips for Seniors, a show with tips for seniors or anyone really on how to better use technology such as smartphones and computers in your daily lives. And I'm your host, Bruce Ciotta. Well, today I have a special guest on with me, my daughter, Danielle Barger. Welcome, Danielle.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
Today we're going to talk about using Google Calendar. So Danielle, it's so great to have you on the show. I'm really honored that you're my guest, and thanks for coming on, particularly to talk about a subject which you seem to have a lot of passion about. So can you tell the audience a little bit about yourself and how you got into using Google Calendar in the first place?
Yes, I would love to. Thanks for having me on. Well, I am Bruce's oldest of 5 kids, and I live in Virginia. I am married to Adam. We've been married almost 20 years, and we are the parents of Charlotte, who is 13, and Violet, who is 8. And I am a former educator, full-time and reading specialist, but have been working for my church as of recently and doing some teaching in different capacities on the side. I love, love, love Google Calendar, love anything to do with calendars and organization, but I can say going to an electronic calendar has been a huge improvement in keeping my life organized and in communication in my marriage. So yes, I'm passionate about it and would love to talk about it today.
Good. Now, how did you guys get started on using Google Calendar?
So I was just thinking about this in 2010, so over 13 years ago, I didn't have a smartphone and Adam did. And we were expecting our first daughter, Charlotte, and we were going to doctor's appointments that we both wanted to attend, but we were both juggling full-time work and grad school. So we were trying to figure out how to both make appointments that we could both be at without having our individual calendars with us at the appointments. And we ended up leaving the appointments, needing to reschedule and call and see what was available, and it just became complicated. So as a gift when Charlotte was born, Adam, actually, I think it was an early gift before she was born, and it was an iPod Touch, which could sync with his calendar that he was going to keep on his iPhone. So our devices, our calendars could talk to each other. And so anyway, that was the start of it. And I have never looked back. We've never looked back. I can't imagine not having a shared calendar on our phones. And yeah, I'm excited to talk more about that today.
Okay, well, that's quite a long time you've been using it. So
Yes.
why do you remember why Google Calendar? Why not some other product?
I don't know specifically why Google Calendar, but there probably were a lot less options in 2010. I'm thinking, and the iPhone hadn't been out that long. And so it was one that Adam was familiar with Google. And so he felt that was a good avenue for us to start, a good starting place for a electronic calendar.
Yeah.
And then when we set it up, the real reason why it was very appealing was it worked on your phones, not just on a computer. So that meant it was portable and you could take it with you in your purse or in your pocket, and you always had access to your calendar. And then the sharing abilities. So you can sync your calendar with anyone else's calendar. And so for us, we keep a Barger family calendar, which we both always have access to. So things that impact our family schedule always go on the family calendar. I do want to talk a little bit later about, or at a good point, about individual calendars as well. But that was really the start. We started with us having a calendar so I could see when he'd be leaving early for a dentist appointment kind of thing from the house, or when we both wanted to go to a small group meeting at our church. So he wouldn't schedule dinner out with a friend on a night we had small group to be at. So it was a way of life for us of communicating with one another without having to have a meeting and talk daily about all the things going on. We could just use the calendar as a resource in order to efficiently and effectively schedule life together.
Okay, so it sounds like you have the use of it where you have a shared calendar for your
Yes.
family. And then
Yes.
you mentioned a little bit about the fact that you also each have individual calendars. Is that the way I understand it
Mhm.
for you?
So through Google, this is all electronic on Google, is you can create as many calendars as you need to, and they're color coded on there. And then you can view them on your computer or on your phone, whatever device you want to, either together or separately. So, for example, Adam has meetings all day long. He keeps himself organized with his meetings on his work Google Calendar. I don't need to see all the meetings that he's having all day long because that's just too much for me to look at and it just doesn't impact me at all. So he has a calendar that's his work calendar. He also has one for hockey. He coaches a hockey team. His hockey team has the calendar. So he's got calendars for those things. When he was in grad school, he had a grad school calendar. I have one for my work as well that he doesn't need to look at. It's not really a matter of privacy. It's just a matter of you don't need that information, and you don't want to you don't want to have to filter through the other person's all their things that they're doing. So, and then we have one that we both subscribe to, which is the Barger family calendar. So on your individual device, you can choose what of your calendars you want to subscribe to. And that's what you'll be able to view on your device. And they're really nice and color coded, and they join in by time. So if you have things, your individual day will work together. Like your family day works together with your work day. So you can see it all time-based lined up in a day, but people who share your calendar only see what they're subscribed to.
Hmm.
That sounds complicated.
Well, it does sound like it works for you, though. It really sounds like it's something that really helps you in your daily life.
I'd like to add that having multiple calendars is another layer. We didn't start there. The first layer, really, which was life changing, was just using it together
Mm.
as a couple, really, and being able to sync our lives electronically like that and schedule things together. Using it individually in professional capacities and in different organizations, that's kind of another layer. But some people may never need that.
Hmm. Yeah.
And then an individual doesn't need, you don't even, there's benefit to using a Google Calendar, even if you're not trying to sync lives with someone else for a communication piece. Just the fact that I think we can all relate to needing to schedule appointments. That's kind of a big one. You go there, they basically tell you a very limited options on when you can be seen. And sometimes, like the dentist, you're looking at 6 months out. You don't know what in the world you're going to be doing in 6 months. Being able to have your calendar with you right then and there to just put it right on the calendar. You never need a reminder card. You're never going to lose the reminder card when they call you to confirm it. You already have it down on your calendar. It really simplifies life.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. So mom and I have this ongoing challenge where one of us, I'm not going to say who, uses a digital calendar and the other uses paper. And so we sit down regularly, at least weekly, sometimes more often, to discuss
Right.
the upcoming events that we have and make sure our calendars have the information. This is the way it was done
Yes.
before, and now with digital, it would be nice if everyone got on digital calendar. But there are also others listening to the show that just don't have their calendars in sync. So even if they're both using digital, they may
Right.
not be sharing calendars. So are there any tips that you can give for keeping calendars aligned that, maybe you have some experience with?
So my only experience is using an iPhone. So I don't know for those but every smartphone has a calendar capacity. I just don't know what they are beyond the iPhone. But with the iPhone, there's a calendar feature right on there. And yeah, so mine's sitting on the bottom of my home screen.
Oh, you put it right in the prime.
Right there. So you open that up and you have, sorry, I'm getting your your day, your week, your month, whatever view you want to have on it. That's just using the iPhone calendar feature in which it walks you through setting it up with whatever, like it syncs with wherever you've created the calendar, be it Google or something else. Or you can download the Google Calendar app, in which case that will just come right to your device. So a friend and I were just talking yesterday at work, and she showed me her view. We both love calendars. Because see, we weren't even preparing for the podcast. We're just discussing a common love, calendars. And her view is very different. Her view is exactly the same as it is on the Google Calendar website, whereas mine uses the phone function, but it pulls the same information. So you have options. And I'm certain just Googling the Google Calendar on your particular device could walk you through through YouTube, watching a YouTube or following a step-by-step on how to do that. I would highly recommend Google Calendars.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that. It's a good point to make for people who are not too familiar with the way that iPhone works with that, but they have the ability to subscribe to a calendar through the iPhone, and that is the way you connect to Google as a shared calendar. I think the reason that you and Adam share and use Google Calendar is, like you said earlier, there weren't that many available at the time, but also he uses Google for other purposes today. Like his work is a calendar
Right.
on Google and shared with
Right.
other employees and so forth. So that's
Yeah,
why
mine too.
Google is one of the reasons where you might want to use it. But you're right. Apple has their own app and they have their own calendar system. So if you're not attached to Google at all, then
Yeah.
just putting a shared calendar or an individual calendar on your Apple device
Yes.
then allow the same functionality as you get through Google. It just doesn't. You just have to sometimes share other people's calendar who might be on Google or some other place. So a lot of
Yeah,
complications.
I'm thinking if you're just a person by yourself using it, you might want to just use the Apple Calendar right on your phone. It wouldn't link to like your computer or anything or anybody. I don't think it would talk to anybody like that, but it is probably a really easy starting point with just having your information on your phone, a portable calendar, essentially. I did want to talk about just even the logistics of how easy it is to add an event kind of thing. Um, I was at the top, right up there, there's a plus sign, and you add that on whatever you click on the date, you add that, and it's gonna ask you to name the event, and you can either call it an all day event, or you can put a specific start and stop time. You can make it repeat every week, like if it's a small group meeting or some kind of ongoing thing, you can make it end on a certain date. And if you want, you can add a video call link if it's going to be like a Zoom meeting, or you can add a location and actually add an address in. Like if you're going to someone's house to meet them for a meal, you can put their address in. So when you go to that date on the calendar, all you have to do is click on that event, and it will even pull up your maps and immediately start mapping you to that address. So, and then you can easily make changes to the entry by editing. And you can share the event with someone else. So you could invite them to the event through the entry that you've created. Oh, one other thing I did want to say is about birthdays. I
Yes.
think
Go
this is a
ahead.
great
Tell us
feature.
about that.
Okay. So you add as an event. So dad's birthday, if I want to put it on there, June 24th. And I can create it as an event. And I make it an all-day event and make it repeat annually. So I never have to worry about forgetting a birthday because every year on June 24th, as one of my things on my calendar, it's going to right away at the top show dad's birthday. So the people in your life, it can help you without any effort really to remember the things that are your anniversary. Let's not forget that. It'll come up every year.
Yeah, that's another great tip. That can just be a regular event, or by the way, you
Right.
can add that into the person's contact. You can put
Yes.
birthday in a contact and it will show up on the calendar. So there's a nice tip for you as well.
Yeah, I had a little problem with that though, and that is I realized I was relying on that feature, but then I realized that Adam cannot see the birthdays I've added through my contacts. So I said, did you contact so and so for their anniversary? A wedding he was in, kind of thing. Did you remember? He's like, I didn't remember. He couldn't see my contact. So if it's not an event on the shared calendar, you can't both see it. We discovered that
Oh,
by
there
missing
you
a
go.
couple. He missed a few. Yeah. So
Well, this is pretty high tech calendaring going on there for you guys. It sounds like this has pretty much changed your life. I wonder if you can give some tips. What would you say to a newbie, somebody who has never used an online calendar before
Mhm.
and really wants to just give it a try and see how it
Yeah.
works? What suggestions do you have for them?
I'd say maybe commit to a month. A month of using it because you don't see the immediate, it wouldn't be for just the things that you are necessarily, where you really see the benefit is the things you're scheduling out in the next couple weeks or even months. It's different than a to-do list. So it's not just, oh, let me not forget this today, although it can help with that. Give yourself, don't just say, oh, I tried it this week and I didn't like it. Give yourself maybe a month or two of using it regularly. Every time you're scheduling something, pull it out right then and there, go directly into the calendar feature, add your event, and use it as a reference point. So I'd say keep up with adding, commit to a length of time to trying the system. Uh, use it, like actually add all your events on it, and then reference it. So I guess I didn't mention this, but for those that love paper calendars, I also do keep a paper. So, Mom, this is for you. But each week on Sundays or on the weekend, I use my phone, and I just write in there all the things I have coming up for that week. Because I also keep like notes and to-do lists and stuff like that on here. So I do pull from that kind of master calendar to keep my actual personal to-do
Ah,
list for the day.
that's
So
a good.
what I'm saying is if you like to handwrite things and like to kind of have that list going, it doesn't have to disappear completely. Adam does not use a paper calendar as well, but I like having a place to journal or jot notes or check off to-do list, that kind of thing.
Good deal.
Yeah.
Well, I think what I'll do is create a video clip of how to add a calendar item onto a digital calendar, just to reference it, and then I'll put the link to that in the show notes here. So for those that are listening and said, "Oh, I really do want to give it a try,"
Mhm.
you can see, like Danielle was saying, just how very easy it is to do. And I think you may like it and want to give it a try. It doesn't mean you have to abandon your paper calendar. At
Yes.
first, you can just do both and then see how it works for you and build some confidence. But it's a good way to perhaps just give it a try, take that suggestion and take a leap. That's one of the things we try to encourage on this show.
Dad, did you know you can set alerts too?
Oh my, tell us about that real quick.
Yeah, so if you have an event, you can even set a reminder 15 minutes before, 5 minutes before, an hour before, and it will remind you that that event is coming up. So keeping your schedule straight is great, but it also helps you. It takes some of the things in your head out because you don't have to try to remember things as often. It's just there as a resource for you. It's a good tool, great tool.
Yeah, that's another wonderful tip. There's so many things. I agree with you that calendaring is just becomes a part of your life when you have
Yes.
it in digital form, and especially since you can see it on your computer or take it with you with your phone, it just becomes a daily habit to keep up with it and to use it for everything you do. And you don't miss, at least I don't miss appointments like I used to, or I'm not late for things because I take advantage of things like those.
I rarely have to say, let me call you back after I get home and check the calendar, or let me talk with Adam and we have to look at our calendars. It's like I can do things much more often right at the time, which ultimately saves me time and,
Hmm.
an
Hmm.
effort and having to try to reduces it to do because I just do it right then. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, I'm so glad to
Thank
see you're passionate about this. And I also want to thank you for coming onto the show. It was a real pleasure having you on today.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I really enjoyed this show. There's a lot of good tips on here and makes you think and try new things. So great job.
If for our listeners, if you have any questions or comments, please leave them in a note in the comments section, or you can write me at Tech Tips for Seniors Podcast at gmail.com.
Well, thanks for joining me today on Tech Tips for Seniors. I hope you found today's tech tip helpful. If so, let me know by leaving a note in the comments section in this episode. And it would also be awesome if you would like, subscribe, and pass this on to a friend who can get something out of it. And if you could, leave us a review while you're at it. If you've already done so, then thank you so much. Remember, stay tuned for the next episode of Tech Tips for Seniors. Take care.